Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hello, hello, hello. Hope everyone's doing well. Where are we here? Where are my things? There it is. Hello. Hi. I should have waited. I need to blow my nose. Okay, now good morning. Jeremiah, Silver, Meme. Hello, my friends. How's everybody doing today? I feel like I got something stuck in my nose. And it's bugging me. Okay. So our president has lost his mind. I mean, we knew he lost his mind, but damn, has he lost his mind. Putting a missile defense system at Bedminster because you are convinced that someone's going to fire a missile at you or something. I don't know. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. Federal observers for our elections today are going to have state observers observing them. Oh, good. That's right. Multiple primaries today. May go live later in the day so we can see the results. We'll see. We'll see what my day is like. If I can, I will. Because there are definitely some big races. Why would? Because, so I didn't say it in my in the video I made this morning for TikTok, but so people, narcissist, fascist, dictator style people with that kind of brain, which I would argue Trump has, the paranoia gets to you. The more you start believing that everyone is against you, especially in the way that he does it, you tend to start literally, the paranoia builds and builds and builds. It happened with Hitler. You know, as World War II went on, he started getting more and more paranoid, started doing all of his meetings in a bunker that he would never leave, almost lost his life because of it. That's what's going on. He's convinced himself, his brain has convinced himself that everybody wants him gone so much that they would fire a missile into the United States. Hell, he probably thinks that socialists or communists are going to do it from within the United States. Who knows what that brain is thinking right now? Sure, the dementia and the alleged catering cart episode didn't help. I mean, I think the fact that he's just insane. I know. Why? Well, why would Iran want to some extent? in the grand scheme of things, they are going to come out with so much more power than they had before this all started. Before this war started, they had so much less power than they have now. Like, they should be thanking him. They probably are thanking him. Trump has done more for the DSA than anyone previously. Yeah, the fact that people are saying that the DSA is taking over is also kind of hilarious, because in the grand scheme of things, I'm not a fan of the DSA. I'm okay with some of the stuff they stand for, but the DSA as a whole, no. Not to mention the stuff that people are freaking out about would require such a colossal extra amount of work to make a reality, that the fact that people are freaking out about it is hilarious. But again, what's a shock? What's surprising about any of this? None of it. In the end, none of this is a surprise, right? None of this is a surprise. This is literally, we've been saying this about him for a long time, that he's losing his mind. And then him and RFK talking about vaccines was about as dumb. Maybe more dumb. I don't know how much more dumb statements this guy can make. And yet they keep making them. Good morning, Jelly. How are you? Trying to think of what to put over my head over on TikTok, and I'm not sure what to say. Because I'm not on there yet. Soon. Still trying to figure out what to put above my head. I don't know what to put above, because I got to do it in so much less words. What is the Okay. All right. So primaries today. Wisconsin and Minnesota are the main ones. I'm sure there's other states, but those are the ones that I'm going to be paying attention to the most. And then next week is Florida. Be interested to see what happens with that one. But yeah, I guess I know where my mother-in-law will be. Yeah, the whole announcement about changing the vaccine schedule is so idiotic. Especially everything he said, but it's so idiotic that I just can't fully describe it enough. I've never seen a more complete and utter just show of incompetence by two people. I mean, Lacey, it's not weird when you understand that they probably both have or had brain worms. Hey, Marco. Hey, Bien. Good morning, Melanie. I mean, again, his state the worst part of it all was his statement that babies are getting the equivalent of a soda bottle worth of injections. Like, that was the worst part of it all. It was all pretty bad, but the fact that they allowed him to say that and was not called out in any way on it. How about the Ditchit finally admitting that the reflecting pool issues were due to poor construction? Well, he didn't have a choice. What other choice did he have? There is literally evidence to the fact. I wonder if people realize that their cost of healthcare, everyone's cost of healthcare, is going to go up if this changed schedule is allowed to go through. Good morning. Yes, go vote if you are in Minnesota or Wisconsin today. There was a GOP senator, I think, who was a doctor who told Trump that this was horrible. I can't remember his name, though. Well, good. Someone did. I don't debate. You can vote early in Florida now? Hell yeah. What's up, Cody? He sounded more uninformed than he did with C19. So annoyed that they don't call out blatant lies right away. Yep. Morning. Hey, Aaron. How are you doing, my friend? Guys, I'm hoping my first ever song that I've written, it's in the middle of production, will get released hopefully within the next before Christmas. That's what we're hoping right now. We're in production phase right now of my new song. My first song. I say new song, but it's my first song. Yep. Yeah, I wrote a song. The song talks about what it was like to get diagnosed with Parkinson's and having to kind of change my outlook on life once it happened. You fell for Iran's AI BS. I didn't fall for anything. When's the pre-save coming out? I'll let you guys know. When I know, you will know. But yeah, so the song goes through stuff that I was thinking when I was diagnosed, but then kind of that path of realizing that worrying about, you know, once you know that you kind of you have this neurological disorder that it will eventually take your life, it's like, well, you know, let's live for now instead of worrying about something you have no control over. I did hear about the catering truck switcheroo. I did. And again, no love for Iran. Here in South Carolina, we have a pediatrician running. Yes. I live right near South Carolina, Melanie. So yes, I am well aware of her. How was I diagnosed? I got a tremor in my right hand and arm. The people that come in and think that I'm like scared or something because they ask why I'm shaking. Yeah, that's my tremor. Being in Italy as an American is difficult. Yeah? Why? You hear that Ahmed roast? Yes, I did. The Roger? I did, Lucy. That was pretty funny. I mean, it's definitely possible, Melanie. I saw a video of they were interviewing people that voted for Trump in 24 that are going to be voting for Tallarico, which I thought was very interesting. Your stage 4 cancer. I'm more sorry. I feel for you, Bubba. I'm really sorry. I mean, he's not technically in it, but I hear you. Can candidates please just say what they're going to do instead of we will fix affordability? You know, I think that's hard, Cody, because what they're going to do is not easy to say. I mean, they can say what they want to do, but in the end, it will depend on how many people that look at the country like them get into office. Michigan better vote good. I mean, Michigan already had their primaries, but sure. It's Minnesota and Wisconsin, guys. Have fun in Michigan. They are not against America in Michigan. Did he actually lose? He lost in the sense of he is trying to find an out and has not actually succeeded in any of his stated goals. I mean, that man will never admit that he lost, ever. I'm just a closeted bisexual Christian. That's a weird statement. What's up? Hey, J-Man. No, they are not 100% against America in Michigan. They are Americans. So I don't see how you could say they are 100% against America. Most of the people, a vast majority of the people in Michigan are American. So, hey, Jay. Hormuz, Panama, Malaga, all under U.S. oversight now. I mean, oversight? Not really, but Abdul can run for president, die mad. True. Why would you hate a religion? I guarantee you know nothing about Islam. Voting for Peggy Flanagan in Minneapolis? There you go. Ah, so you're saying it again. What do you think that's supposed to mean to me, happy camper, that you think I am a closeted bisexual Christian? Do you think I'm gonna get upset about that? I think it's hilarious. And my wife of 20 years and my 19-year-old daughter would disagree with that. So means that my opinion is tainted. Okay. I mean, I do not support the government in the I country. They have committed a genocide. And America has committed war crimes in Iran. So, oh yeah. Ahmed doing the whole Roger thing was hilarious. It was hilarious. I cracked up at that. What's up, buddy?
Well, I can hear it in your voice. You're also a Martian. Or maybe some interplanetary alien. Yeah, Jesus Christ, the crazies are out again.
And earlier
what,
than
what
normal.
did it even mean? He can hear it in your voice.
I don't. So here's the thing, and I was gonna make a video about it. May still. So there's this thing about people that, especially conservative men, they like to. When I say that men, especially these conservative men, care more about what other men think of them than they do about what women think of them, this is the kind of thing that I mean. So they come in here, they see that a man's on here, it's saying something that they don't like, and they try and insult me with something that would hurt their feelings, not realizing that I don't care, nor do I consider it an insult.
No, it wouldn't be an insult either way, but it's rather silly, the poster's reasoning on that.
Yeah.
Along with the other inane comments that person is making.
Oh, you think I care? Okay. You think I care what a random commenter on a live thinks about me? You obviously haven't really been here, but see that face getting flush? Okay. See, there's another one. They think they know me.
You've been found out, Mike.
I've been found out.
At long last, you've been found out.
Again, if I was a bisexual, so what? Yeah, there is no insult in the comment. That's the funny thing. When people say that I am gay, I don't, they're wrong. The nervous movements, that's Parkinson's disease.
This guy's a piece of work.
LSOB.
And by the way, aeronautical hit the nail on the head. There's no insult in the comment to begin with, even though the poster thought there was an insult associated with that comment.
Right? Oh, okay. So anyways, the paranoia of this administration is wild. We were talking about it a little bit right in the beginning over on the tube of you. Having an Avenger missile defense system at Bedminster is wild. Is wild. The fact that he is that he thinks someone would actually fire a missile into the country to get him. Like, again, we already lost. Iran is getting more out of this now than they would have had nothing happened. Like, Iran has no need to, like, they wouldn't want to. They're literally getting more. They have gotten hundreds of billions of dollars of sanctioned money. They are now going to get literal control over the strait.
Yeah, this war, if you want to call it that, has been an abject failure. It's over. We lost. We didn't get the 970 pounds of enriched uranium. We didn't end their ballistic missile program. We didn't get regime change, unless you want to call putting the IRGC fanatics in charge a salutary regime change. And we didn't end their support for proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, or the Houthis, who are now blocking the Red Sea. We didn't gain any of that. What we did do is give them de facto control over the Straits of Hormuz, which accounts for 20% of the world's oil and 20% of the world's natural gas. That, folks, is what's known as a choke collar on the world economy. This has been a grotesque geostrategic failure, the worst in American history.
Yep. If there was a real threat, he wouldn't be on the golf course. Correct. Aeronautical, correct.
Yeah, that was my thought too. If the Secret Service is determined that Bedminster is a security threat, he wouldn't go there. You don't need to put up ballistic missiles near there.
And them having no Navy or Air Force means absolutely nothing. They don't need a Navy and Air Force to control their area. They've shown that. There are dozens now tankers that were full of oil that are just burning in the Persian Gulf.
Well, one of them sank yesterday, filled with oil. So that's going to be nice.
Yet you support I don't care if the people of Iran say death to America. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care. Because we're not fixing the problem. We're not making them like us anymore. We're not fixing anything. We're not doing anything about it. We've made them hate us more. That's all we've done. And we've lost American lives and hundreds of billions of dollars to do it. Why would I go to Iran? I'm an American. That is just such an ignorant statement for anyone to make. Yeah, I don't care about that. Why would I care about that? Why would I care what someone in another country thinks about us? There's lots of people in lots of countries that don't like us. So what?
The sad part about it, Mike, is that we have undercut the Iranian opposition movement too, which was rather large.
Yep.
They have done what most nations do when they're under attack. Not a lot of them, but enough of them have shifted to favoring the government because they're under attack. And this is what happens when you go to war and you don't have it planned out ahead of time. And by the way, how long before Pete Hegseth pays the price for that? He's going to be on the bingo card too.
Mm-hmm.
Because Trump will never blame himself.
What about Dearborn, Michigan? Why do you keep bringing up Dearborn, Michigan? You've never been to Dearborn, Michigan. I've had conversations with people that live in Dearborn, Michigan that are Christians. They say it's fine there. Like, and they hate it. Who hates it? The Christians in Dearborn? No, they don't. Those aren't Christians, they're pushovers. Oh, okay. Well then. Whew. Ah, okay. There won't be an Islamic takeover. We are a country of freedom of or from religion. Islam literally has no capability of taking over. Any more than the Christians that want Christianity to take over. Not what they're literally saying. I don't care what they say. They can say whatever they want. There are Christians that say they want this to be a Christian nation. I don't give a rat's ass. There is not an Islamic takeover. Again, if there are more people switching to Islam, it's because Christians can't stop talking about it, which is causing people to go check it out and realizing they're not as bad as everyone's saying they are. Do I support Islamic Republic in Iran? No, I don't support the government in Iran. Is that what you're talking about? Where in the United States is that happening? Actually, more Christians have voted against child marriage than Muslims have in America.
Yes, it is, especially in the South, it is the Republican Party that is pushing that. It isn't a bunch of Islamic people.
I don't support any religion taking over. Any. Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, any of them. Atheism. We are a nation of freedom of or from religion. That means you can practice whatever religion you want, wherever you want.
Or no religion at all.
Or no religion at all. Just because you don't know anything about Islam and you are Islamophobic means nothing. I agree.
And anybody who doubts that can look at the Establishment Clause of the Constitution of the United States. We have freedom of and from religion.
Iran is not militarily destroyed. We are struggling more than they are right now. You have no idea. I know exactly what freedom of religion is. Morning, Patty. Atheism is not a religion. It's as much of a religion as any other religion. It still requires a belief in something that you can't prove. That's fine. I don't care. You want to... I'm a Christian. You don't believe in it? Great. Go for it. Fine. No, it doesn't. Of course it does. You can't prove that no God exists any more than I can prove that one does. Which is why I don't ever tell anyone that one does. Yeah, Aaron. Welcome to the world. No, you cannot. You can prove that someone named Jesus walks the earth. You cannot prove that any of it, that a God exists. I'm sorry, you can't. That's fine. You can believe it. I believe it. That doesn't mean I don't know that it can't be proven. So they're not taking over England. No, they're not taking over England. So weird. Look it up. I've been doing this for over 4 years. This political content creation. I promise you, I am paying attention to what's going on literally everywhere.
Exactly, Rosa.
Nothing happened in Dearborn, Michigan. People did stupid things just like they're doing in every friggin' country right now, or every state right now. Stupid things is pretty much the way of the world right now.
Lakewood, New Jersey, which I know something about, is not Islamic. That is, there's a large community of Orthodox Jews in Lakewood.
He can bomb them. He chooses not to. Well, yeah, because you want a quick way to start another world war. Bomb them the way you're talking about.
I don't know, Alex. How much free time do you have to be in here trolling?
So much that's going on where I live in Dearborn. Okay. All right. They're all on welfare. Okay.
The highest state statistic for using welfare is West Virginia, which is also one of, I think, the second least diverse state in the entire United States. So,
Remember, we never needed the oil. They need it to sell for corruption. The oil is American made. What? What? What?
Oil is a worldwide fungible product. I don't understand what the poster's getting at.
What's up, Shane? How you doing, buddy? I mean, America doesn't own our own oil. So this is so much worse than I recall it. Mike, what? My lives as we get closer to the midterms, it's gonna get wilder.
yeah, and just be prepared for everybody who, like anybody who is not extremely hateful, it's going to get extremely bad during the midterms. Like, remember when the racism and misogyny came out when Kamala Harris was running? It's going to be that much worse during the midterms. with Islamophobia.
Thank you, boys.
Yeah,
Manning.
that I agree, Books. That's especially in the state of Michigan. Um, that's the card that they're going to play. I mean, they don't have the caravans this time that used to pop up all the time because Trump is in the White House, so they won't run the caravan scam. So instead, it'll be Islamophobia. That's going to be one of the catchphrases, and of course, their new taglines: communist and socialist. They love saying that. Why? Well, because woke and trans aren't working anymore. So they got to come up with something new rather than address the real issues that the American people care about. Like healthcare, the cost of groceries, the cost of energy, the cost of utilities.
Scott, Philip over on the tube had a question for you. Is there any data about the demographics of DSA voters? I have a theory that most are just within voting age and first timers.
That's a very good question. I've done a lot of research on it. So, because I've been surprised at the strength of the DSA and DSA aligned movement within the Democratic Party. It's real because El Sayed won in Michigan, which is something 6 months ago I would have told you wasn't possible. Progressives in the Democratic Party tend to be disproportionately white, disproportionately wealthy, disproportionately, by a wide margin, very highly educated. Geez, that's nice, building a nice coalition. Where do the progressives need to pick up their game a little bit? They need to pick up their game, especially in the Democratic Party, with minorities and working class voters. Now, I know they're aiming for working class voters. I have no doubt they're going to pull some in, but up to now, the data isn't there. I hope that answers your question.
And I want to make some things clear to people in the comments. I have been a Christian for 47 years. I love the people in my community that I keep close to me who are also Christian, who look at the world and look at the people in it the same way I do. That being said, on a national level, at this moment, I actually have more trust in people who aren't Christians, whether they are another religion or no religion at all, than I do people that call themselves Christian. I am more nervous about people that call themselves Christians running for office than anybody else right now. And it makes me sad. It makes me so sad to actually feel that way. Why? Because most of the problems that we are dealing with, most of the pain and torment that marginalized communities and people around the world are experiencing are because of those quote unquote Christian values.
And I grew up Catholic in a very Catholic family, and I would also agree with that. And my point is to the Christian nationalism movement and the excuse of hiding behind Christianity to do awful things and to create awful laws that hurt people. That's not Christianity in my book. And you're trying to say that you're Christian and using Christian values, and you're going the complete opposite of what the basics of Christianity is supposed to be.
Awful rhetoric, awful laws. Yeah.
Yeah, Books. My background is pretty much the same as yours, and for the same reasons, I've had a lot of problems with the Catholic Church, along with the reasons that everybody knows about the Catholic Church, with the cover-ups that were engaged in 10, 15 years ago.
Good luck, sir. I am a Christian soldier and proud of the Trinity. I'm not sure what the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost have to do with anything I said.
And I don't like the term soldier. I don't agree that we are taking these themes from hundreds and hundreds of years ago during the Crusades, and we're still utilizing them today in the modern world.
Yeah, again.
Jesus was a healer. He was not a soldier.
Again, I have been a part of the church. I have been at almost every aspect except for pastor in the church through my entire career, through my entire life. And you guys are pretending like I literally don't know what I'm talking about. I could probably walk the floor with you when it comes to the Bible and religion and all of that stuff. That's not what this is about. That's the point. We, as Christians in the world, at most, should be treating the world like Jesus' story of the Good Samaritan. That's it. Weird flex? It's not a weird flex, it's a reality.
If you don't use your Christian values to try to create a better place for all people, regardless of what their beliefs are, then you're not truly following Christianity. If you don't believe in feeding people, if you don't believe in healing the sick, if you don't believe in the most basic of human rights and that all people should have access to those human rights, then you're not utilizing Christianity, especially if you're more concerned with waging war on other people.
Again, we are again, and I want to get back into actual news and not because we try and avoid actually talking about religion here because we are a freedom of or from religion channel as well. But I will end it with this. I was always taught to live my beliefs. And the way I am seeing, especially those in government living their beliefs, is that they lack humanity. They lack empathy for other people, especially those that don't think like they do, that don't believe what they do. And that is why that's why the church as a whole is dying in this country. That is why people don't trust Christians, because of how they are living. So that's it. We're not talking about religion anymore.
Well, I do have one note. I just had my car towed again to my mechanic.
Yeah.
And you know how AAA will send you a thank you note for using them, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
The thank you note said, "This is God from AAA, just thanking you for your long membership in our service." Well, that's interesting. You know, these corporate mergers are really getting out of hand, Mike. Now God is getting into the corporate merger thing.
Hey,
Did he clear that with Ellison?
you know? Oh my gosh.
Obviously the guy misspelled, but I thought that was funny.
What's going on with the Patriot games? Oh man, I've heard stories from that thing and it is a joke. Like,
it's just another scam. It's
like,
just another money fraud thing.
these kids coming in and aren't actually athletes in any of these things. They haven't been practicing or preparing or any of that stuff. People representing states that they don't actually live in. Like the person represented Puerto Rico lives in Texas. The person representing Massachusetts lives in California.
And
I didn't actually look this up, but did it really cost $13 million? Is that what the budget was for this?
I don't know.
Is anybody even paying attention to it?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
There's like nobody in the stands watching it either. Like it's it's pretty bad.
So it's sort of like his 4th of July party that nobody came to.
Yes. That's exactly what it's like. Did the taxpayers fund this? We sure did. Just like we funded the painting of the reflecting pool and now the repainting of the reflecting pool.
He hires his pool boy. He blames vandalism. The pool boy bids 1.2 million. It costs 16.4 million, and it lasted all of 72 hours before it broke. What a microcosm of this administration.
I also want to talk about the thing that the president signed yesterday, changing the vaccine schedule. I don't think people realize how it's actually going to make our healthcare more expensive. Forget the fact that everything he said was a lie, but it's actually going to cause everyone to spend more money. No, a change was not needed.
They're not going to change. Here's the thing. Some of the things that they have said that they're changing in the executive order, for example, when the Maha movement came out and changed the food pyramid, they're not even actually changing it in the government because they can't. It's too expensive and they don't have the money. They literally just finished the old recommendations and all the paperwork, like a couple months right before they wanted to change the food pyramid. So this is all just showboating. The American Academy of Pediatrics is not going to change their recommendations, and doctors and healthcare providers are not going to change their recommendations, because if somebody gets hurt because of that recommendation, they're liable for that when they have zero evidence and proof as to why they would change it.
Greg, vaccines, the discovery of vaccines and the amount of them are one of the greatest benefits to society to ever exist. All of society. There has been no better discovery to hit society than the discovery of vaccines.
And yes, if you follow somebody else's recommendation that is not based in scientific data and it's based in hopes and dreams, you are liable for that.
I can assure you as a lawyer, you would be liable for that. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Greg, I would argue you're truly lost if you don't believe in vaccines, but
I don't even have conversations with people who say they don't believe in vaccines.
I know. In general, I don't either.
Yeah.
You want to know why, Books? You don't have conversations with them because it's not about the vaccines.
No,
it's not.
It's not. It's not about the vaccines. It's the same people who said that they voted against Harris because of her laugh. It wasn't about the laugh.
Yeah.
If you don't want to have a vaccine, that's your right in this country. You don't have to. That doesn't mean that you get out of certain job requirements that require them, or that you go to certain public schools. I mean, you are going to have restrictions, but you also have options to not take it.
So I just wanted to say quick, the reason that it will start costing you, if this went through, it's one of the reasons, it's really one of the stupidest things. If this happened to go through, it would increase the number of doctor visits that every parent would have to make in the first 18 months ish, from about 7 to 8 to about 22 or more. So not only would you have to pay 22 copays, you potentially would have to take 22 days off of work to go get those vaccines, or at least time off of work. You would also have increased busyness in doctors' offices that are already overworked, especially PCPs, because there aren't enough PCPs. And that would end up costing, it would actually end up costing insurance companies more to have all of the vaccines spread out like that. So it would cost more. It would cost everyone more money.
And coming from a public health perspective, we try to make things as easy as possible for people, because we know that missed appointments are very high. And to have the expectation that the general population is going to make it to that many doctor's appointments on time when they're supposed to on the schedule is, I mean, it's just a false reality. It's never going to happen. That leaves more children vulnerable and the population extremely vulnerable because you have a larger amount of people who are unvaccinated.
Beach says in comments, so you care more about insurance companies than safety.
No,
I literally don't understand your comment. Maybe I'm missing something.
I don't want to give more money to insurance companies. I don't want the people to have to spend more money.
The number one reason we're against it is because of safety, because it is not based in public health medical-based evidence. It's not based in scientific data. It is completely against everything that the healthcare community is for.
This would not reduce doctor visits with better health. My kid has barely ever been to the doctor, and you want to know what vaccine schedule she got? The one that they're trying to change.
Yeah, just remember, this is the first time in history that the American Academy of Pediatrics and the CDC do not line up, because now the CDC is not run by independents. It's politically motivated.
Politics are fake. Politics aren't fake. Politics are it's called a government. Barely goes to the doctor. Yeah, because she got things like vaccines. But you know what she eats? Ultra processed foods. She gets all the vaccines, C19s, boosters, flu vaccines, all of them. In fact, we just, we just randomly get them. We just go into the doctor's office and we go, you know what? Can we just get, some extra ones just for the fun of it?
I just truly don't understand the mindset of the anti-intellectualism that we have in our politics now. I just, the way people are so devoutly following somebody who has absolutely zero scientific backing among the healthcare community, it baffles me. Do you honestly think that the entire world that works in healthcare is against you, and that the Maha movement, which is run by one guy, one crazy guy, is going to have your best interests at heart?
Well, Books, it is somewhat understandable when you consider the demographic that they're aiming for and how they're catering to their voters.
We're not blindly following what the government tells us. We're listening to the scientists.
The scientific community is independently run by hundreds of different organizations, if not thousands, just in the United States. And none of them support what this executive order was yesterday. Not a single one.
They never cure. What? Vaccines? They're not designed to cure anything. That's not what vaccines are designed to do. Never were. You can buy a study that says anything. Yes. But again, you don't seem to understand how the scientific community works. Someone pays money to have a study done, whether they do it themselves or they hire someone else to do a study. Then that study goes through what's called peer review, where every scientist looks at the methodology and everything else. And then the scientific community as a whole decides whether it's worth paying attention to the results of that study.
And those results have to be able to be replicated. I mean, there is, like, we when I was in medical school, we had to be taught how to do peer review studies. It is a extremely high level of thinking, and I'm sorry, but it is. And the majority of Americans are not able to use that level of critical thinking.
No.
This is why you don't just trust in one quote unquote expert in the field. Just listening to one expert is actually the lowest, like, on the pyramid when we talk about looking at studies and who is the most trusted in a study. You have to go all the way up the pyramid to meta-analysis, which is combining hundreds of different studies that all produce the same results. You don't just listen to one so-called expert.
And
Precisely, and that's exactly why peer review exists.
how many scientific facts? Because science as a whole changes, because we learn more, technology changes, and we learn more. That's not a reason to not listen to them. That, like, again, that is such ignorant. That is such an ignorant perspective. You
And
know,
honestly,
when they invented the first vaccine, the idea of doing what we can do now in science with medicine wasn't even on the radar. You got excuses for everything. No, that's called facts. That's called how science works. That's why they call all of these things in science theories, not because they're wrong, because to be a scientist involves always questioning, always going, why, you know, is now that we've got new data, is there something more that we missed? Now that we can look deeper, now that we can look finer, now that we can see things like atoms and all this other stuff that we couldn't before, did that change?
And honestly, since we have adopted this modern version of peer review studies and this modern version of scientific evidence, very little has actually been proven wrong in modern day, in like the last 20 30 years. We've only been able to improve things. We've been great at improving things, at discovering new things, but things that we've actually, like, major things that we've proven wrong is very few and far between now because our model is so highly perfected.
So cigarettes are good again? No, I
What-
haven't seen anything
Where are
that
you
says
coming
that.
with that? Where are you coming with that, beach golfer?
And Deer Tracks, can we question scientists? Of course we can question scientists. Scientists question themselves. That's literally how it works. The problem is not that they're questioning it. The problem is we are trying to ignore the scientific community as a whole, the consensus of the scientific community, while questioning. Like, we're saying, oh, this one thing came up that may change how we view something, so let's just get rid of it all while we're questioning it. That's not how it works. You need to prove before you make the changes. And right now they're just making the changes. Not what I'm saying. You asked the question. I'm just answering your question. They aligned with a liar over scientists. Yep. Again, I have friends. I didn't say get rid of all of it. I didn't say you said it. I'm saying that is what's happening. People are saying don't take vaccines when the scientific community as a whole, the massive, overwhelming consensus of the scientific community is that vaccines are safe. All of these vaccines are safe. They're safe to give kids. They're safe to give everyone. And someone comes in and gives one study that was never peer reviewed or was peer reviewed and was decided to be completely bad. And yet we're making changes to our system, to our vaccine schedule, to all of this stuff because of it.
like I said, I mean, I don't foresee any actual changes. A lot of these executive orders are just political showboating for the base. So,
Why cancer again? I'm going to say this once, and then we're not going to talk about that anymore because I'm tired of answering these dumb questions. The reason more people are diagnosed with autism than ever before is because the way we diagnose and has changed over time, and we have added things to the list of what is considered part of autism. That's why that has gone up. Cancer, the reason that it's gone up is, again, because people are we can diagnose it better. We literally have the capability of finding things that we didn't used to be able to find
and let me
earlier
make
than we
it
used to.
very clear cut, black and white. There is absolutely 0 studies that have any link whatsoever between vaccines and autism. 0. We have more studies, some of the largest studies ever done in the history of the world, that prove that there is no link to autism and vaccines. So we have a situation in healthcare now where we have probably been set back 10 to 20 years in research because of this whole autism and vaccine propaganda, when we really need to be searching elsewhere for what we can try to figure out what's the cause of autism. Is it genetic linked? Is it environmental? Like, is there a combination? But get it through your heads. I mean, 0 proof.
There is not proof of autism, though. Again, anyone that comes up that says there is proof because they did a study does not understand how these studies work. I'm sorry, you don't. You literally have no clue how studies work and how the scientific community works.
The origin of this was a scientist who posted this in a journal and got acclaim for it. I'm pretty sure he had his license removed from him. His study was revoked. They found out that he altered the data purposely because on the back end, he wanted to sell autism testing kits. The entire thing was based off somebody who was trying to scam people.
And I'm an expert? No. I have friends who are experts. I have friends who are virologists who, when C19 came about, had a discussion with them about it. We talked about how they figure things out. I've had tons of conversations. My wife is a nurse, went to school for nursing. I understand how this works. But in the end, I trust the scientific community. The scientists are the ones that do the work, not us. We just coming in and reading something is not like, come on, guys. Same, Lori. Science is not for scientists. Maybe the people that sell the science after it's done, but the scientists, you obviously, again, don't understand how these things work.
There are reasons why in our system too, everybody always points, why are they excused from litigation? You can look it up. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. the excuse for why they're excused for litigation. That doesn't mean that if somebody gets injured from a vaccine injury, which is incredibly rare, that doesn't mean that they don't get some form of compensation.
They are paid to prove something. I mean, are there companies that put together studies to prove something, and if it doesn't, they don't put them out? Sure. And when it goes through peer review, people point that out. That's the point of peer review, which is why a lot of the stuff that this administration, that RFK has put out, gets such flack from the scientific community, because most of the studies that he uses to decide to do things are things that haven't been peer reviewed, or have been and shown to be bad methodologically, with the results, all of it.
Or they're completely made up and they don't actually exist.
There is a specific court that they use to file cases.
Yeah, and it's just the way that our system is. I mean, there's a reason why they're protected against litigation, because you're looking at a protection of public health. I mean, there's a million different things that people are protected from litigation for. Not just in the vaccine world.
What does circumcision have to do? What? Are you talking about us, or are you talking about other people, Joey?
It's not 72 vaccines.
Nope.
Oh my god. It's like 20. I'm pretty sure the count
It's
is 20 vaccines. It's not 72.
22, I think, is what I heard.
Is it 22?
I think it's 22.
It's 20 or 22. It might be 22 now, because we had some updated, but
you think peer reviewed is stupid? Why do you think other scientists reviewing the methodology and the results is stupid? Peer reviewed is absolutely scientific. That's how you figure out what is, whether or not the study was done correctly, whether there was bias put into it, whether there were mistakes that were made. Like, you.
And listen, we live in America. I have no problem with any of you deciding that you do not want to get the vaccine for yourself. And unfortunately, we live in a country that allows you to make that decision for your children. That's fine. But there has to be limitations to that. That means you do not get to send your kids to public school. Sorry, but you don't. The public health as a whole is more important than your individual right to go to public school. You have other options that you can do. Go to a private school that allows you to go, or homeschool your kids. And then if you work in an area or work in a job that requires you to have something, then apply for some sort of excuse and see if they'll give it to you. But that doesn't mean that your opinions that are not based in any factual evidence get to dictate the laws that we have established in this country to protect our public health.
Correct. Early voting has started in Florida. Hey, Tav. How you doing, buddy? It's theater showboating that keeps the cult enraged and riled up. Yep. Peer reviews is like voter polls. No, literally not even a little bit. Literally not even a little bit. Again, it shows your ignorance on how peer review works. You can't pay enough people to protect it, to influence a peer review.
You know, that's a pretty important point, Mike. Books earlier, and maybe it's worth you revisiting this. Could you explain what peer review is and why it's important?
Sure. So peer review, you have to you do a study. You write up your study and you send it into a journal or multiple journals that will go ahead and have experts in your field review that work. They review everything to a meticulous degree and see if it's able to be replicated. And then they're able to post that in a journal. Those journals then get sent out to other experts throughout the world who try to replicate that data. The more that the data is able to be replicated with the same results, then the more accurate that we can say and confirmation that we can say that that data is good data. But I'm not a part of it. Like I've read journals and I read research that comes out. I am not on the back end where I actually like to perform the research. I did it in school, just wasn't really my thing. And I'm not an expert in my field, so I'm not a part of these kinds of things, but I know people who are, and these are people who have decades of experience, and everything is the same throughout every single process. Like everybody has to go through the same method, and you have to be scrutinized by a whole entire team of people, and this stuff goes worldwide. We're not just talking like your little local college. This is worldwide stuff.
Yep. Oh, and just to answer the quick question, or yeah, it was a question. Where was it? Name one leader that could outsmart the president. Just tell me one. My trash can could outsmart the president. Literally.
I think I answered Putin to him. Would challenge you to name one leader who is dumber than the president. Anywhere, Europe, Asia, doesn't matter. Name one.
Nobody works for free, just you morons. Brought to you by Pfizer. A lot of people work for free because, again, you don't seem to understand how the science community works. So these people in the science community spend their entire life trying to do good science. The reason that scientists review each other's work is because by its very nature, if the science community reads and reviews its own work, that helps bring up the quality of all science work. These studies are thousands of pages long. Yeah.
What studies are thousands of pages long? They're actually on average like maybe 12 to 15 pages mostly. Have you ever read a study before?
Not to mention that
Every study.
not to
You've
mention
never read a study before then.
not to
because
mention
they're
these people that read studies on a daily basis. They probably can do it in their sleep.
no study is thousands of pages long. If you're reading a study that is that long, it's not an actual study, that's just raw data. You're going to have to put all of that data together into what's called a meta-analysis.
COVID shots were like 30K pages and they tried to hide the study for 75 years. What? Goodbye.
Wow.
I'm done with this. That statement just ended it right there. I'm sorry. There's no conversation happening after that one.
Sometimes I just want to question, like, what is
So
their
primaries.
idea of
Exactly.
what they want America to look like? Like, what do you, if you are a Republican or you are a MAGA person, what do you truly want America to look like? Because I don't understand what it is that you want.
More things are whatever. You guys literally don't have a clue what the hell you're talking about. Just stop talking, please, about it. Fauci didn't do anything wrong. The entire world was trying to figure out a global pandemic in a way that no one had ever had to experience before. Don't pretend you have one iota of a clue as to what was going on. You don't. You literally don't. I know. Are you good? Oh, you can come up, Di. You always welcome. Did you ask to come up and I just missed it? Yes, you did. I apologize. Again.
I thought you didn't like me.
No, I just didn't see it. I apologize.
No worries.
The fact is, gosh, I know someone who worked on it. I know someone who is a virologist and worked on it. To pretend that that person and the people that she worked with had no clue what they were doing or are lying to you is wild to me. No, he didn't lie about anything. Because again, you guys don't understand how science works. A pandemic was happening. So they did what they thought was best. And it changed as time went on. Because that's how science works.
Right. My hubs is a scientist, and for him, he said the number one thing that was the craziest thing in all of this was how many scientists had gotten together to bust their asses to get a jab out. He said that was absolutely, groundbreaking that a team could get together and get something like that out that works for us. You guys got problems with it? I don't care. I'm talking about me, I'm not unaliving because you guys are weirdos. So I just wanted to say from the science community, it was a major breakthrough in that period of time.
And anybody talking about this Fauci's diary BS, you didn't read anything about it. Like, there is nothing in it that proves anything. Wasn't diary, it was like notes in the first place, because who says diary? I mean, that's a little ridiculous. But there was nothing in it that proved anything. It's literally just notes and questioning things. And him pleading the fifth was pretty obvious to anybody with a brain that his attorneys did that because the Republicans have been screaming that they want to throw him in jail for a political hit piece.
Absolutely.
The person who chaired the committee, Senator Rand Paul, has been calling on Dr. Fauci to be thrown in jail for 6 years. Quite obviously, if he's going to appear before Rand Paul's committee, he's going to plead the fifth. Why would he give Rand Paul any ammunition?
Well,
there was nothing unusual about Dr. Fauci pleading the fifth.
As a side quest too, Scott, here's the other thing I noticed when I've gone back through and looked at each and every single question that he said the Fifth Amendment for, which was all of them. But at one point, the Rand Paul, whatever that guy was like, your privilege doesn't extend here. So he doesn't have the kind of power like a judge would to say you can't use the Fifth Amendment. And Fauci was using the Fifth Amendment because of him, because he was such a, dingleberry. And so that whole thing got confused as well. Oh, you don't get to have a Fifth Amendment. Like, that's not your call, dumbass.
No, that'll be a judge's call whether he could assert the Fifth Amendment or whether the pardon overruled that, and that'll be up
Exactly.
for a judge to decide. Which I think they will decide in favor of the Fifth Amendment, but that remains to be seen. At any rate, you're quite right, Di. This was a dog and pony show. It would be completely different if it was a search for truth and how we can do things better next time. Maybe we made some mistakes. What can we do to improve ourselves for the next pandemic? But no, that wasn't the purpose of Rand Paul's committee at all. It was a whole gotcha dog and pony show, and Dr. Fauci wasn't playing.
It's all just a political movement to rile up the base because they only have so many cards that they can play. They can't play a card on the economy. They can't really play a card on immigration right now because people don't really like how they're doing that.
So
Their only cards right now are from the Cold War era, which is communist propaganda, and going back to COVID from 6 years ago.
That's exactly correct. What are they going to talk about? Healthcare? What are they going to talk about? The subsidies that were cut, 80% of which went to red states. What are they going to talk about? The Medicaid cuts that are coming up 2 weeks after the midterm elections, which will cut $1 trillion over 10 years from Medicaid? No, they can't talk about any of that. Grocery prices? No. So they bring up, red herrings like communism, and woke trans isn't working anymore, so they're using the communism thing. They're trying to rile them up about COVID again. It's not going to work.
and I want to say this for everyone that is like, oh, acting as though you guys don't seem to remember who was president for the first, 8 months of the pandemic. Trump is the reason that we have the vaccine. Trump created Project Warp Speed. Trump praised Fauci no less than 6 times. Trump gave him a Medal of Honor for his work on the pandemic. Y'all acting like we are not critical of his actions. You aren't critical of his actions.
You're absolutely not critical of his actions because if anybody had any critic upon him, he wouldn't be president in the first place. He's a felon.
He really is. That's a true story. He's a felon. I still don't understand though why the peoples, the negative peoples are like, ooh, we don't want any jabs. Like, who's giving you jabs, right? Now, if you don't like it for your job, that's happened like 100 million times. You know what the court said? If you don't like what your job asks you to do, then go to a different job because they're the ones in charge, especially if it's a private company. So get over yourself. But yeah, so you didn't do jabs or you did against your will. Who freaking cares, man? Why are you spreading all the negativity about it and the hatred of the science?
Hell, I think unless you are, my personal opinion, I think unless you have some sort of autoimmune disease that does not allow you to get vaccines in the first place, I think to be a part of society, you should be required to get them, because not only does it protect each other, but it protects those that can't get those vaccines.
Right. I mean, all universities, if you've gone to college, right, they come in and they say you need your MMR to be updated in order to come into college. And that's across the world. I mean, that's even in the UK where they're like, oh my gosh, meningitis is huge over there. So they constantly are asking for that. So,
I would like
it's basic, like, okay, well, this is something I'm going to do to help my society. Oh, and the lady down there that said, hey, so they have to get fired if they don't take the job. Seriously, yeah. So if you don't want to take the job and your company or your place said you need to do it, get the fuck out of there. I mean, that's just what the rules are.
and it was only for specific jobs too. I mean, if you're in the military, you give up your right to bodily autonomy when you're in the military. If you are in the hospital system and they can make reasonable accommodations, but if they don't have reasonable accommodations for you, they don't have to give you a job if you are unwilling to protect people who are immunocompromised. You don't get the right to be their nurse or to be a person who works with an immunocompromised person in the hospital because you refuse to get a shot. You
Not
don't
to,
have that right.
not to mention, this current president got the initial vaccine and every booster after.
I don't remember. I mean, I assume maybe there were some companies that required some people to get it before they came into work. But I do know that people always like to ignore the part where, and it didn't go through, but the federal recommendation or that they were trying to push where they wanted everybody vaccinated. And people were claiming, oh, you can't force us. Well, there was still an option in that where if you didn't want to get it, then you had to be tested every 2 weeks. So you still had the right to not get it.
The vaccine doesn't prevent you from getting COVID. It never did. Again, this is guys.
The government never forced any company to force people to get the shot. That was denied by the Supreme Court. So anybody who is saying that, either you were lied to or you're lying.
No.
Hey, I was one of those too. I just want to put that out there. I was one of the people that said I thought the jabs were bad. I didn't go do a flu jab at all. I didn't do anything. And then when I had my kids, the second baby, they're like, we're going to do this, this, and this. And I said to them, I thought that these caused the autism. And you know what? First, after they started breathing properly again, they explained to me what it was. Like the vitamin K shot that people are like, we don't want that, or any of the other immunizations that are needed to protect our children. For me, it was just very simple. I didn't have the knowledge. I hadn't done the research and I didn't know. So as soon as they were talking to me about it, it's like, holy crap, all the immunizations, all of them. And then even to me now, I'm like, if it's in a need, I'll just give it to me because I'm doing that now.
Nobody has ever said in the scientific community that the C19 vaccine prevents you from getting the virus. No one. Literally no one. It was never, no, they didn't. Just because you don't understand the words that they were using does not mean that you don't, that they did.
You know, that's an interesting comment down here, Teddy, when you're saying my own doctor told me not to take the vaccine. I'm wondering, you may be able to sue for that. If you did get the C19 and all of the negative things, if it was prolonged, because, you know, again, your doctor's like, you don't need to take that. Well, that's his negligence on his part legally.
Kami, is Biden a scientist?
Correct, Barb. Very good comment. Rick, how are we spreading misinformation? How? Be specific.
Again, this president, when in his first term, told people to get it. This president said that bleach and ivermectin could fix it.
Oh my God, the ivermectin, that was so bad.
And the bleach
mRNA was not experimental. mRNA has been in the works for a long time before.
We are coming up to a pretty pivotal crossroads in our nation. Politically and ideologically, we have such an extreme split between the two. But what makes me really sad is that we're seeing this on, because I'm in healthcare, we're seeing this on a public health level. We now, for the first time ever, have a 10-year difference in life expectancy between blue states and red states. Red states, and it's not just because of what we're talking about, it's a combination of socioeconomics, but red states are dying 10 years earlier on average than blue states for the first time ever. We have a very serious public health crisis in our country that is being politically motivated by people who do not have your best interests at heart. We are talking about a president who is a con man and is scamming to enrich his family and his friends and putting in con artists in positions of power to destroy things that we have built up that are supposed to be third-party independent and independent from political pressure.
Can I ask you a question, Books? I got a question. You're working in healthcare, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I've got it. By the way, you're amazing. I adore you already, so I'm following you. Hello. And the next thing I wanted to say, one thing I've noticed with a lot of scientists is that they're very good at what they're doing when they're in the labs, but when they come out and try to explain it to people, they're not very good. Like they're not able to put it at a level where people understand. I've just noticed a little bit of that, just for the ones that are hanging out in the labs all the time, and I'm wondering though if that's had a bit of a negative effect on people because, they're speaking this language that a lot of people don't understand. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've talked about it before. I mean, I've changed since this happened. I've changed how I look at vaccines and allowing people what, choice and stuff. But I mean, I do agree with you. There's a pretty it's pretty basic, I think, that anybody can look at. Popularity is usually about charisma, and they don't tend to be coming from the scientific community.
1 out of 20 of the C19 vaccines was not placebo. This is the last time you say dumb stuff like that, you aren't going to be able to talk anymore. That is bullshit. And by the way, for the person that thinks that mRNA research, nope. See, goodbye.
But this is one of the big things about trying to push access to education. We're trying to increase diversity in education to lead up to more diversity among healthcare and scientific communities. You want people who are doctors and nurses and people who are working with patients to look and sound like the people that they're caring for.
And Lily, no, you haven't. By the way, so mRNA research has been going on for 40 years. Literally since 1978. mRNA as a whole was identified in the 60s. But the first mRNA study that involved actually like delivering things in people's bodies was 1978.
Good morning.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
How's everybody? I was gonna kind of go off of what Books was saying, that the healthcare system has really actually been weaponized against the good of the people, in my opinion. And one thing that is very frustrating for me, and this is just a side note, is that all these MAGA people want to go, quote unquote, back in time to when everything was simpler. Well, when everything was simpler, people understood that and were educated that immunizations worked. And that's why measles, mumps, rubella, polio, diphtheria, all of those things were basically eradicated in the United States. So, but they want bodily autonomy except for women's health. So I mean the and my brain's not working. The it's wild to me to think on what's going on. And I often wonder if people can justify not getting a jab. How can we use that as a way to reinstate Roe v. Wade? That's just the question I thought of.
Lush, you think businesses don't have the right to choose who they allow to work in their business and what someone's required?
Ask Hobby Lobby.
They absolutely do. So businesses are allowed to require you to have the C19 vaccine to keep working there, which is what happened in a lot of them. My issue with the state doesn't push it. The state didn't tell a business that they were required to do it. They can suggest it. No, it did not happen in New York City. New York City did not require businesses to do it.
Dee, I think that the larger issue with this distrust going on in healthcare, and so much of it has stemmed from the opioid epidemic that we had, which hit red states pretty hard. And there's always been a distrust historically among healthcare in different minority groups and socioeconomic dynamic groups. But I personally feel that there's this huge distrust because of the system that we have. Our system is almost purely run on a for-profit system when it comes to healthcare.
Yep, you're right.
And that really, to me, is what leads to the seeds of distrust. The people who dedicate their lives to healthcare are mostly completely against this system that we have. We know it doesn't work. A for-profit system based in private insurance that doesn't allow for equity, it just does not work.
Yeah, books, and it also goes to a a broader societal shift towards a feeling of anti-intellectualism and anti-education.
Ooh, good
That goes beyond
points.
that goes
Yeah.
beyond that goes beyond that goes beyond this.
Well, and I also, when you were talking books, I was also thinking too, is with the rapid of the internet, conspiracy theories were able to grab traction faster than the science that debunked them was also. So it goes back to the intellectualism, it goes back to the distrust and things like that. So when you were talking,
And I want to make this clear. New York never required the general public to get vaccinated. There were, in very specific indoor venues, a requirement, which completely made sense, i.e., healthcare workers, things like that. Companies.
I have a question.
Yeah.
on that road too that you're talking about. I can't remember what they had as the mask policy when the Republicans were doing their convention at the White House. I wasn't sure if we were masked or not, but I think that's another good example.
Well, just ask Chris Christie. He almost died.
That's right. I thought there was one of them in there.
Yeah,
All right.
just ask Chris Christie how that worked out. And what you're talking about was the celebration of the appointment of a Supreme Court justice. And
Ah,
Chris Christie almost died at that celebration.
And
that's awful.
and Lush, I didn't contradict myself. They never made a general public requirement. They required it for healthcare workers just like any other business. You didn't like it, you could leave. They gave people that option. You are allowed to just not stay in the job, just like in any business. Again, you not liking it means nothing. You weren't forced to. No one was forced to. Any job can make a requirement. And if you don't like it, you can then leave. Any business, anywhere, at any time can make a new requirement.
Right. Like wear shoes. Can't come in barefoot.
You do not have a right to a job in this country. You do not even have a right to food or shelter or, of course, healthcare in this country.
No, that is the point, Lashawn. You just didn't like that in order to keep your job, you had to get it. That's not being forced. No, threatening someone's livelihood isn't forcing. Not when it comes to things like that. Again, we can have a discussion about whether or not we live in a society where that should be okay. That's a different discussion. But in our society, with the laws and the Constitution and the way that we have set things up, a business has the right to tell you that you have to have it if they want. It sucks. It's bad in many cases, but they do have that right.
I mean, the other thing people don't realize too is I was in a long term medical facility at the time. And when this all went down, and from January till May, and we were getting immunized because of the fact that we had people that would come in and leave on a weekly or daily basis. And so they were trying to keep us, because we're in a contained area, from spreading it all over and then having the people spread it in the facility and then take it out into the society at large. I mean,
Is it
and that's just good health.
is it okay? I mean, Deer Tracks, in my opinion, yes. I think, especially when a pandemic is involved, I think healthcare workers should be required to get the vaccine if they want to keep their job. Yes.
Especially because it's communicable.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting other people's lives at risk.
I think, again, this is one of those, if you agree to be a healthcare worker, this is one of the things you're agreeing to. Just like if you agree to become a member of the military, you are technically agreeing to get pretty much every vaccine under the sun. You get a whole concoction injected into you just by signing on with the military. What about the general?
And I do want to point out, though, that while this is a hot topic issue, the reality is that very few people don't believe in vaccines. West Virginia went through like a 2-year process that went all the way up to the state Supreme Court multiple times with their public schools requiring vaccines. And it held. It has stayed. It is still in our laws, and it's done. You have to have vaccines to attend public school in West Virginia. And the public support, while West Virginia is extremely red and has one of the largest MAGA bases in the country, they still support vaccines for public schools. So just because you are the loudest or most obnoxious screaming about something does not mean that you are even close to a majority.
Well, Buck adds hopefully in chat, but what? A pandemic? Because that stuff was the flu, basically. You do realize 1.2 million people unalived from that, don't you?
And
1.2 million.
And just because the nature of it is similar to a flu, which is why the flu vaccine and the COVID vaccine in many cases are similar. That's why they're dealing with vaccines that deal with efficacy, not completely protecting you from them. But other than that, they aren't the same. The way they attack you isn't the same. The way they interact with your body isn't the same. I know people that were younger than me that literally were this close to losing their life to that virus. It is not taking your life slowly. It's not. I'm sorry. It's not.
Maybe these comments are, though.
You know, one thing,
Especially by Sherman. Sherman, once again, 1.2 million people passed away. That's not nothing.
And a majority of them, a vast majority of them, if not all of them, I don't know the exact number, were unvaccinated.
you know, I also wonder how much of all the disinformation about this particular jab has been what perpetuated a lot of people to not vaccinate. Thus, I mean, the measles outbreaks that we're seeing, you know, a couple things of polio that have come up. You know, these are starting to run rampant in society. And I look at it as how much of that was by the distrust of the C-19 jab.
Unfortunately, we live in a reactive society. We have procedures and policies in place from previous governments and administrations that should be updated constantly based on best public health response. That was thrown out the window with the Trump administration. There was a plan in place and it was not followed. So it is important to have people in government who are going to have your best interests and are going to follow established policy that is based in scientific accuracy. When it comes to these spikes in unvaccinated populations, the reality is historically these populations will be affected by some sort of outbreak, and then the vaccination rates skyrocket because they realize that they have put their own communities at risk, and it is a reactive thing. Our laws are the same way. New Jersey, California, they both enacted their vaccination policies for schools after pretty bad and severe outbreaks.
And yeah, masking is actually a pretty common standard of care, like Tina said, and we would not have been able to keep our doors open if we actually made the requirement that every employee was yes, you would have, because other people would have come and worked there. Yes, you would have.
My daughter's an eye technician, and she still wears a mask every day, especially when she's with patients, because of the fact that not only she just doesn't want to get sick. That's her thing. She wants to prevent any illness that she may get from working in with the public, and she works with the public very closely as an eye tech. So, I
That's quite right, Clara. I mean, masking is not just about COVID. Masking is about the flu. I know a lot of people who wear masks when they cut their lawn because they have allergies.
And you did not get natural immunity if you got COVID, any more than you get natural immunity to a flu virus if you get the flu. That's the point. That's why.
1 year.
That's
I was
why.
gonna.
That's why That's why you need to keep getting boosters, because it's like the flu in the sense of it mutates extremely easily. It mutates similar to a flu virus, which is why you need to get which is why they create boosters for the ones that are bad at that moment. No, it doesn't build natural immunity, not in the less dangerous way, because again, mutations can completely ignore natural immunity. That's the problem.
Different
Absolutely.
viruses are different. Like
go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say different viruses are different. Like the chickenpox virus is completely different than the flu virus. There's reasons why you would only need to have like one vaccine, or you get sick from chickenpox one time, because it's a completely different virus. It mutates differently. It's I'm not going to get into all the scientific details of virology, but just know like there's a reason why they make you different kinds of sick, why you have different symptoms, because it's a completely different virus.
Right. And I was just gonna, from my lived experience, I had initial, and then I had boosters, and then for over a couple of years, and then because I was moving, I ended up not getting a booster. And I literally in 12 months I had it 4 times, because every time I was getting to the point where I could have the booster, I ended up getting sick. So for those people, and it's because my immune system is so suppressed, but for those people who think you get quote unquote natural immunity, absolutely not in my case, because like I said, I got it 4 times in a 12-month period.
Greg, what does what Nancy Pelosi did have to do with anything?
Oh my gosh. Again with the Pelosi.
Or Gavin, what did those have to do with anything? They were dumb. They were dumb for doing it.
Can I slide in real quick here?
Yes.
Hey, Shifty775 down there. You just told me to Google because I asked you for your source of your BS numbers. Here's the deal, dude. What am I supposed to Google? You're the one with the crap numbers. I don't know where you got those numbers from. Why am I Googling? That's my question for you. Google your own crap and then bring your receipts if you want to talk about it. You got no receipts, and it's trust me, bro. I don't give 2 craps about what you're saying then. That's just how it is.
Di, you don't like trust me, bro?
I know,
Man,
right?
gosh.
I tell
Not
you
only
who
that,
hates
Di.
hates
If
that.
if somebody's going to contradict you with specious evidence, it's incumbent upon them to provide the evidence, not you.
Right. Like, where am I going to find that crap? I don't go to those websites.
Imagine getting the vaccine and 3 months later diagnosed with reduced heart function. Have you ever heard the term correlation does not equal causation? That's how science works. That's like saying you know, having coffee in the morning causes car accidents. Correlation does not equal causation. Someone getting a reduced heart function 3 months after getting the vaccine does not mean that the vaccine caused it. That's what science does after.
Far more likely that you're probably either older or you're a diabetic.
So many people think correlation is the same as causation. Again, correlation is the reason to do the studies. Totally 100% necessary. That's how it always works. When things happen, when someone gets something that is concerning, then you do a study. You don't just sit here and say this caused it.
Good thing we have the FDA, WHO, CDC, all of the, oh, wait a minute. We've totally dismantled those scientific studies that would benefit and perpetuate working towards strong health policies.
You know it. Where is the peer-reviewed study that shows that the C-19 vaccine causes reduced heart, whatever you said, reduced heart function? Where is the study, the peer-reviewed study?
Yeah, and
The peer review study can be found in Fantasyland. At any rate, Mike, I have an appointment. I've got to leave a few minutes early.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Books. Thank you, Attorney Died. Thank you, Clara. And most of all, thank you, chat.
It's good to see you, Scott.
All right, folks.
Now I'm the only lawyer.
Only lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Skeptical
Put your seatbelt on, Di. Put your seatbelt on.
Omar is great. She's been a great congresswoman already. Her entire career.
Catherine, that's not true. That's completely false. I don't know where you're getting your information from, but that's completely false and inaccurate.
And again, could things that happened to you while you had COVID cause those things? Sure. Again, correlation does not mean causation.
Your personal story is not rooted in scientific evidence. I don't care about your personal story. I couldn't care less about your personal story because it is not based in scientific evidence. And your opinion is the reason why we are fighting all of this and why we're fighting anti-intellectualism.
You didn't get COVID, never had it. Congratulations. That means nothing in this conversation.
A story is not scientific evidence.
Your single experience does not mean that is the actual response. And I also want to say, no medicine is 100% safe for everyone. That is something you also need to remember. No medicine ever is 100% safe. That does not mean that for a majority of people it is. And for a majority of people, the C-19 vaccine is safe. Is the VA healthcare study reliable? I'd have to read the study.
You actually
Well,
have to critically evaluate the study, because even if you just pull a study out and say it's from the VA, you have to be able to understand and read the study, because it could say that, like, most of the time people are reading these studies and they don't even understand what they're reading. Most of the time the study is saying that there is no evidence one way or the other.
No evidence of causation. Most of the time they say no evidence of causation at the end.
you know, and I was going to circle back to something that Book said, that I think is part of this discussion, is that the mortality rates and the age expectations are lower in a lot of these states because of the lack of care. So because they get, and I might be wrong, but because they get lack of care, they don't realize that they have these underlying issues until something perpetuates for them to get help for it. And then they wanting to put the causation because of whatever jab they have gotten. And, yeah.
I'm sorry, hon. I thought you were done. Oh my goodness. My 12-step program did not interrupt people. I got to go do another round. Here's what I would say. I am in a rural state. I'm in a red state. I'm in a rural state. And, when I'm watching what's happening here, it's, we've got probably a single mom, all right, working 3 jobs, trying to get diapers, trying to get food, trying to do whatever she can. So she's got 3 jobs. She's like running around trying to make everything safe for her kids and stuff. Can't find better jobs, isn't getting paid at the level she needs, doesn't have health care. And I tell you, if you pull one person to the side like that and you say, hey, let's talk about this. This is really important. They're going to say, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't even have time to sleep, much less do any research on people or try to figure out what the best option is, right? If people could sit down and just look at the computer and go through it and figure it out, fine. But she's like, I don't have time. My kitchen's on fire. My kid's dad's being a jerk. I need a restraining order. The dog's barking. I think at some point we have to recognize where the people are at that are saying, no, we don't want it. And is it because truly they don't want it, or they don't have time for that and they're just trying to survive?
And I just want to go back one quick. So you said, but you can't even accept that it's possible. It's not that anyone is not accepting that it's possible. It's that people are coming on and making statements of fact without any evidence to show that there is more than just correlation. I am more than willing to say, I'm more than willing to admit that there are possibilities that any medication can cause heart problems, but not without actual evidence. And again, my experience, if I took a vaccine or if I took a medication and it caused a problem in me, I'm not blaming the medication or the people that designed the medication. I'm saying I am just unlucky enough to have there be an issue with it. I simply stated my story. No, you did not simply state your story. I'm going to go back to it because this is why we have a problem. Let me find it. Imagine getting the vaccine and 3 months later diagnosed with reduced heart function. You made a statement of fact while before that arguing that the vaccine itself was bad for people. That's a statement. That's not this is my experience and why I struggle with it.
And it brings no scientific evidence that that was the cause. I was actually pretty interested in this because when I work in healthcare, heart issues are my specialty. So when there were stories coming out about decreased heart function, especially in young men or young boys with the COVID vaccine, I wanted to look that up because that was what I was really interested in. Turns out that it was almost entirely false. There were a handful of cases that caused mild heart issues that were all self-relieved without any medical intervention from the COVID vaccine. Out of how many hundreds, millions, billions of
Billions of
vaccination
doses.
shots? Billions. And we're talking about a handful.
And
Less than a dozen.
And you know it? Nowhere, not one time did I say you did not experience reduced heart function. My problem was that you are blaming the vaccine for it without any proof.
Without any evidence. We actually, so C19 and the shot are two of the most studied things that we have ever actually had worldwide. And we have so much evidence that every single comment that has been made on this channel is completely false. When it's saying something that like, oh, somebody got sick or babies are being born with problems and all this stuff, it's false. I mean, everything that you are hearing and where you're hearing it from are all lies.
I'm in no way denying that you didn't experience a reaction or anything. Where can you prove that it was the vaccine that did it? And where can you prove that it's a massive problem specifically because of the vaccine? I want a peer-reviewed data. Nope, your medical records don't prove that. I'm sorry, they don't. Not scientifically in any way.
If there was an issue that was directly linked to the vaccine, then your case would be brought to the there's like a database that we utilize for vaccines and vaccine reactions, and it would be put in that database and it would be part of a study.
Well, and what I would add to that is, there's like rules that you have to use in order to determine whether or not the evidence is useful or not. If there's a authentication issue, if it's trustworthy, and all of those things come in. You just kind of spout out like, "Oh, what about me?" with your anecdotal story. It's like, okay, that's great, but if I'm trying to talk to a jury or a colleague and I'm trying to explain something, I don't care about your anecdotal question that would or answer that would never be able to come into court. So I think we also have an issue here by saying like, dude, we'll go to the best evidence. The best evidence is the primary source documents. It's not going to be your stuff.
And you know it. The problem that I have here is, again, your response to everything that's going on is that the problem is the vaccine, and not the problem is maybe you just happen to be one of those people that can't take it. I'm not dismissing your story. There's a lot of people that can't take it. No, I said me. If in the process of your statement you are trying to infer that there is a problem with the vaccine, which you did, there was lots of inference from you. Nope. Okay, fine. Fine. Then I'm letting it go.
And not only that, we also sign, whenever we get a jab, we sign waivers that basically tell us that we may have an adverse reaction to the particular jab in which we're getting. And, so it's not like we're just going in blind. I mean, most of us don't read those, do we?
I do.
I mean, after having all my kids and having myself and everything, there's a lot of times unless it's something new, I it's kind of like, yep, this is standard. But, you know,
You should read it.
when I probably should, but
Here's
I'm teasing ya.
here's the problem I have with people that say that you never inferred anything. So you may not have intended to infer anything. I will give you that. This is the problem that we have when it comes to conversation. You guys, all of us, so easily do not think about how what we say, especially when it comes to text, is read by other people. Because how we read it is based on our experiences. And what we were talking about in here, what we were dealing with, what I was dealing with, was literally dozens of people trying to tell me that the vaccine was poison. And yes, I appreciate that you were not trying to infer everything, if that's the case. But I read it as an inference. Because see, you're sitting here telling me that I have an agenda. I don't have an agenda. I have no agenda whatsoever. I know you think I do. Actually, it was very effective. The efficacy of the C-19 vaccine was great.
I know this is a really like off the wall comment to make, but I always equate it to birth control pills. Okay, so if you take them, they're like really, really effective. But there are people out there, my hand is raised, by the way, that took them and still managed to get pregnant 4 times by taking them very well. Different types, different dosages. We realized, after the 4th one, that they don't work for me, period, in my system. So just because something doesn't work for you doesn't mean that, and this goes to herd mentality, herd efficacy, doesn't mean that, so what, I should sit there and yell and scream?
And
Because
for who? The billions of doses, the millions, the billions of people that took it. That's for who? Literally.
I feel like we lost the science lady. Oops, sorry.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, she usually has to leave right around now. It's right about the time for me getting off anyway, so. And that's all it's supposed to do, Mr. Rum. You can still get it, but it lessens the symptoms because the way it is designed to be is more like a flu vaccine, not like other vaccines. It's a different kind of vaccine. So, anyways, how did he lose? He did literally nothing that he said he was going to do, and now we're probably going to pull out, and they're going to get complete control of the Strait of Hormuz. That's how we lost. Anyways, guys, this literally went in a very weird direction. I did not expect this to go the way it is. If you are in Wisconsin or Minnesota, please, Wisconsin probably will not stay red. Anyways, get out and vote in the primaries. So please, pay attention to what's going on. If you haven't watched the videos that are over on the tube, there are people that are running for office that can use visibility and name recognition. Please go and help them. They need us to go out and do the work, which is watch their stuff and share it. These people are trying to run to make changes in the world, and they need your help. Yes, Florida is early voting right now. Also, we've got some really cool interviews coming up. I'm interviewing a young woman today who has a very interesting experience with AI, and I think it will add to the whole AI conversation and problems with it, as well as the ability for all of us to support female-owned businesses. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. I will see you guys in the morning. You guys are amazing, just the way you are, and I love you all very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember to sing, laugh, dance, smile. Do something that makes you happy after I block this guy, because I don't want to see him anymore. Bye, guys.
Bye. Have a good one.